On names, design, pricing, and specifications, meaning we know everything about the iPhone 12 way ahead of launch. Before we get started though, please like the video if you're excited for the iPhone 12 and let me know in the comments which one you're waiting for. So if we start with the design, some of you may have already seen Everything Apple Pro's video where they shared renders and CAD informations for all versions of the iPhone 12. Many people out there are arguing that Apple wouldn't release an iPhone that looks like this, but all sources and the leakers are confirming that this is it. Personally, I like the flat design and I think that this is the best looking iPhone we've seen yet. We also have news that some models of the iPhone 12 are going to have the ProMotion display, but some of the cheaper ones won't, but we'll go through that in detail shortly. Now with the design out the way, we're going to go through the names, specs, variants and pricing for every single model of the iPhone 12. To start with, we've got the entry-level model of the Apple iPhone 12 and it's going to be called the iPhone 12. It's a 5.4-inch phone with an OLED Super Retina display from the Chinese manufacturer BOE. It's important to note straight off the bat that Super Retina means absolutely nothing, so don't get too caught up on that. It's going to be equipped with 4 gigs of RAM and a choice of 128 or 256 storage. It's made of an aluminium body and of course it uses the Apple A14 Bionic with 5G support. The iPhone 12 comes with a dual camera system on the rear and it will of course be shipping with iOS 14. While there have been rumours of all models coming with a 120Hz display, unfortunately the iPhone 12 is only going to be 60Hz. For those of you that want the iPhone 12, you can get the 4 gigs of RAM with 128 gig storage for $649, but if you want to upgrade to the 256 gig iPhone 12, then it's $749. Next up, we have the iPhone 12 Max. To be clear, this is the iPhone 12 Max and not the Pro Max. It's essentially the same as the iPhone 12, but just a bigger version. The iPhone 12 Max has a 6.1-inch display. This is again a Super Retina OLED display and provided by BOE. As I said, it's the same as the iPhone 12, so we only get a 60Hz display. We get 4 gigs of RAM and a choice of 128 or 256 storage, and of course the iPhone 12 Max is powered by the A14 Bionic. It's an aluminium body, it's got 5G connectivity and dual cameras on the rear. For those of you that want the 128GB iPhone 12 Max, it's going to be launching at $749. If you want the 256GB iPhone 12 Max, it rises to $849. Next up, we've got the iPhone 12 Pro. The iPhone 12 Pro has a 6.1-inch display, so it's actually the same size as the iPhone 12 Max, but we've got improved display and specification. On the iPhone 12 Pro, we've got a 6.1-inch Super Retina display with ProMotion and 10-bit color depth. Unlike the cheaper models, this display is manufactured by Samsung and ProMotion delivers a 120Hz refresh rate when required. The iPhone 12 Pro comes with 6 gigs of RAM and a choice of 128, 256 or even 512 gigs of storage. It of course ships with the Apple A14 Bionic and the iPhone 12 Pro is 5G compatible. It comes in a stainless steel body and on the rear we get a triple camera setup along with the LiDAR sensor for depth. For the 128GB iPhone 12 Pro, it's launching at $999. For the 256GB version, it's $1,099, and for the 512GB iPhone 12 Pro, it's $1,299. Last but not least, we have the iPhone 12 Pro Max. The iPhone 12 Pro Max comes with a 6.7-inch OLED display. Again, this is Super Retina with ProMotion, 10-bit color depth, and of course manufactured by Samsung. It again comes with 6 gigs of RAM and a choice of 128, 256 or 512 storage. It's in a stainless steel body and the iPhone 12 Pro Max is of course powered by the A14 Bionic with 5G support. And exactly the same as the iPhone 12 Pro, we get a triple camera setup on the rear along with an additional LiDAR sensor. For those that want the 128GB iPhone 12 Pro Max, it's launching at $1,099. If you want the 256GB version, it's $1,199. And for those that want the most expensive in the range, the 512GB iPhone 12 Pro Max is launching at a whopping $1,399. Overall, it's a good selection of phones at a nice range of prices. Essentially, there should be one for every budget and preference if this is the phone you desire. The ProMotion display that Apple are using is going to be 120Hz, but it's also going to be adaptive. It's going to change to 120Hz when required, so the increase in display performance can be seen, but for the times when it's not needed, the phone will drop back to 60Hz to save battery. When it comes to the release dates, sources are saying that most of the range is going to launch in September, but the iPhone 12 Pro Max could be delayed until October due to the current outbreak we're experiencing. Of course, there's plenty more information on the Apple iPhone 12, so we're going to run through all of it now. For my regular viewers, you'll have already seen it, so feel free to switch off now, but for anyone new here, make sure to hit subscribe and we'll get right into it. Which is going to be two different iPhone 12s, the iPhone 12 Pro and the iPhone 12 Pro Max. We're expecting Apple to increase the display sizes on the most premium models, although those who want a smaller display are still going to have an option. Reliable analyst Ming-Chi Kuo has advised that there's going to be two iPhone 12 versions. The smaller iPhone 12 is going to have a 5.4-inch display and the larger one will have a 6.1-inch. We then get a 6.1-inch display, which is the iPhone 12 Pro, and a 6.7-inch display, which is the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Unlike last year, however, all models are reportedly going to be using an OLED display, and the resolution will differ across the range. The 6.1-inch iPhone 12 will likely have a lower resolution than the 6.1-inch iPhone 12 Pro. And while there are rumors of Apple removing the notch, I really can't see this happening. In typical Apple fashion, we're still expecting a full-screen display with a notch top center. It's too early for in-display camera sensors, and I can't see Apple going for a punch hole. They also need a time-of-flight sensor on the front for their 3D face unlock. And while Apple did ditch the fingerprint scanner on the iPhone X, there are reports that it's going to be coming back in the form of an in-display fingerprint scanner. There are reports suggesting that Apple are also going to be increasing their refresh rates on the latest displays. While most phones have stuck to 60Hz displays, it's been changing recently and Apple are also going to be joining this trend. At this stage, we don't know if they're going to be using 90Hz, 120Hz, or even a mixture of the two across the range. When it comes to the rear of the device, we're expecting a similar camera setup to last year, but the more premium model will have more cameras. Ming-Chi Kuo has again advised that both the iPhone 12 Pro and the iPhone 12 Pro Max are going to be adding time-of-flight cameras to the rear. For those unaware, time-of-flight cameras are 3D depth cameras and they're what Apple uses on the front for the 3D face unlock. The time-of-flight sensors on the rear, however, use slightly different technology that allow it to map 3D objects from further away. This significantly improves augmented reality applications and allows for more improved portrait-style photo and video effects. We're likely going to see slight upgrades on the other cameras of the iPhone 12s, but given the great performance in its predecessor, they won't be changing things too much. Reports are suggesting that the two more budget models are going to have a dual camera setup, while the iPhone 12 Pro and the iPhone 12 Pro Max are going to have a quad camera setup with the inclusion of the 3D depth camera. The iPhone 12 is of course going to be powered by the new A14 Bionic processor. This is actually manufactured using 5nm lithography, which will bring significant improvements, and there's a good chance that it will be the first 5nm chipset to hit the market. When it comes to RAM, the iPhone 12 Pro Max is expected to come with 6GB of RAM, while the standard iPhone 12 will only have 4. This is something that I think Apple actually do well compared to Android manufacturers, where they throw in unnecessarily large amount of memories, causing the consumer to pay for memory that they don't even need. When it comes to storage, you're expecting a choice of 64, 256 or 512GB of internal storage. For the first time ever, consumers felt Apple did a great job in prioritizing the battery life on the predecessor, so hopefully that's something that's going to continue with the iPhone 12. While graphene batteries are still out of the question, we can expect a 5.4-inch iPhone 12 to be around 2,800 mAh. The 6.1-inch is probably going to be around 3,150, and the 6.7-inch should contain around a 4,300 mAh battery. One thing that is a little unknown at the moment is of course 5G connectivity. Apple are very bad when it comes to 5G thanks to earlier issues with Qualcomm, so we're unsure at this stage if that's something we will see in the iPhone 12. It's rumored that the iPhone 12 is going to have 5G connectivity, but there aren't actually any leaks or reports to back that up. The iPhone 12 is going to be IP68 water resistant, and it's of course going to ship with iOS 14. Now when it comes to the price, people wanted lower prices, and that's exactly what we're getting. Apple surprised us last time, they surprised us again with the iPhone SE, and now the iPhone 12 is going to be the same. We'll be getting the base 5.4-inch iPhone 12 starting at $649, the iPhone 12 6.1-inch at $749, the iPhone 12 Pro 6.1-inch at $999, and finally the iPhone 12 Pro Max 6.7-inch phone at $1,099. Some very reasonable prices from Apple, who have clearly been focusing on keeping the costs down. Of course, it's not all about specs, and we're likely going to see some new software features or improvements to the current features in iOS 14. The iPhone 12 is set to launch in September as always, and it's always around the second week they release, so we can expect to see the iPhone 12 range on either the 8th or the 15th of September, and the iPhone 12 will be released about 10 days afterwards. Of course, being so far away, these are